Hello, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already watched part 1 of the Christmas ball tutorial, may I suggest you watch that first, as I explain in detail exactly how to do each and every step and what materials I used. To make my snowman, I've cut little squares of polystyrene out, and they're 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, and the other one is 1.5 centimeters by 1.5 centimeters. And I'm going to take my knife and cut them down. So just cut the corners off so that you will land up with cylindrical shapes. And then what you do is you take your 240 grit sandpaper and just sand it all so that you've got a little ball, and then you get the 2 little balls to put together to make the little snowman. I've cut my little snowman out and carved it all, and I've added a wee bit more extra detail to it, so I'm making little presents that are going on the side. So I've glued it all together, and now I'm just going to paint it. I'm going to be starting by painting all the little decorations and all the accessories first, and then I'll paint the body afterwards. These are the 2 colours that I'm going to be using to paint the presents with. You can use whatever colour that you want, and I'm going to be using the very, very fine detailing brushes, which are small, like that, really tiny. And I'm going to be painting the ribbons gold that I put on the little presents. For this one, I want to give it more of a human look instead of the coal face, so I'm going to be doing its mouth in red. And then its nose in orange. To do some of the details on the scarf, I'm using this phthalo blue. Now I'm going to put this aside until it's completely dry before I paint the body. So once again, placing the little disc round about where you want it, and just arranging how you would like the pieces to go. So I want this snowman to be a little bit in the front, so I've taken 2 of the trees that we've made, and I'm going to be gluing them in with hot glue. So always just take your piece out to work on it flat. And now I'm going to do the same by putting the polystyrene all around the base. So I've got it all glued in, and I put the polystyrene all the way around the sides, and I sprinkled it with the glitter as well. And now all we have to do is put it together. And there's one more of our balls done. And for the next one, I've got these little wooden beads, which I'm going to just be joining together. You can make however you want. I like it 2 bead snowman, so I'm going to be painting this white and gluing it together, and that'll be my little snowman. So I painted the little snowman with the titanium white, and then dipped it into the bicarbonate of soda so that it looks like snow. And now what I'm going to do is I'm keeping it on the toothpick, and I'm going to just glue the pieces together. I'm going to be using some super glue to glue these two pieces together. I've got a small piece of red ribbon which I'm going to be using to do the accessories for the snowman. So to do the ridge for around his little hat, I'm going to be cutting off just 1 millimeter for around his hat, and for the scarf I'm doing a 2 millimeter cut. So I'm just going to cut that. And just tear it, and you get your 1 millimeter, and then for the 2 millimeter, same thing, and that's going to be for the scarf going around. I know they're a bit big, but it's a little bit easier working with slightly bigger pieces. And to glue the little scarf on as well, I'm just going to use a blob of super glue here, and then you can trim that down. To paint the face on, I'm using a tiny little detailing brush like this. I'm just going to paint some little things that look like coal. To make the nose, I'm just taking a toothpick which is really fine, and I'm just going to dip the tip and take most of the paint off so it doesn't make it too thick. So just like that, and then I'll trim that down. Then I'm going to be just taking a pair of wire cutters and cutting the toothpick that's going through the little snowman. I'm cutting that off at the top like that, and then I'm going to paint that small little shaft black. To make the snowman's hat, I've got a piece of cardboard which is 2.5 centimeters long, and it is 6 millimeters wide, and I've got a 1 centimeter diameter of a circle, and I'm just going to paint them black. After looking at the size of the hat to my snowman, I decided it was really a little bit too big. So what I've done is I've cut it down so that it now is 1.2 centimeters and it's 4 millimeters wide. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to just wrap it around a toothpick, and using a pair of tweezers, I'm going to be gluing it with some super glue. So for the final one that I'm going to be making, I've got some of this jewelry wire, which is a round 18 gauge copper wire, and I'm cutting off 15 centimeters of this wire. It's probably a bit much, but I'd much rather have a little bit too much than too little. So I'm just going to cut that off. And I'm using a round nose pliers to do this. So what I'm doing is at 4 centimeters, I'm just taking my round nose pliers and catching it there, and then I'm going to just fold that over. So we've got like a hairpin band, and then just try and squash that closed. Once you've got it as tight as you can get it closed, take your pliers. I'm going in on my particular pliers by a half a centimeter. So put your pliers, make sure that you've got no wire sticking out the top, and then just rotate. When you can't go any further, just swap it around and rotate it again. So you will get a small little loop like that. And then all we're going to do is we're going to just make that a little bit bigger. So when I say make it bigger, I'm talking about we're going to curl this part here to make it a little bit more curly. And then your little piece should look like that. Now what we're going to do is just to separate this wire, we're just going to pull the small wire forward so we can work on the next part. So now going in 1 centimeter from the tip here. So going in from 1 centimeter from that point there, and then you're going to just bend your wire upright. So you've got something that looks like that. Then going up about 1/2 centimeter, I'm going to grab it there and bend it back downwards to the base. Like that. And then along the same line, to try and get it even, put your pliers in the same place and then bend it back out. And going 1 centimeter again, do the same thing, holding it tight, and bend your wire up. In the same position, about 1/2 centimeter up, holding your wire and then bending it back over and down to the bottom, and then squashing that tight. And holding the wire again in the same place. You're going to bend the wire back out. And then the last piece of wire that we've got, this whole length, we're going to just fold it in half. So going to about the halfway mark and then just bend it over. So you fold the wire in half. Now you're going to take the end piece and make sure that it's not sticking out the top, so it's completely flat there, and then you're going to just rotate to make that little curl, and then we're going to make the little curl just that little bit bigger. Just move the one wire out to the side a wee bit so you can get this curl, and now just straighten this wire up to the top. And then what you're going to do is, on this wire that we've pulled to the top, once again take it so that it's nothing showing. This time I'm going to go halfway down my pliers because I want a slightly bigger circle, and just rotate. So you should have something that looks like that. And now we're going to take the front one and bend that up and try and straighten it like that. And then we're going to do the same by bending this one over. So going halfway down the pliers as well. So your little piece should look like that. And now just make 2 of them. And now I've got a spare piece of polystyrene, which we've been using, and I've got the little piece laid out on there. So what you want to do is hold it in place and just halfway down from your point here, just mark there, and then what you're going to do is up to about there, just follow the line like that, and the same with this one, and then just roughly cut that out like that, and then we'll shape it later. And now we've got our little piece cut out. Now as you can see, it's a really large piece. I don't want it to be that big, so I'm going to be cutting it about 1 centimeter. So you've got your little piece like that. Now I want to have mine that it's got a little step that comes up like this, that goes down, and then it'll go like that. So what I'm going to do is cut that small section out. I've got this tiny little rat tail rasp, or rat tail file, and now you're just going to file this all nice and smooth. Then I'm going to take some 240 grit sandpaper and smooth it even more. So I'm quite happy with the fit, and now what I'm going to do is on these little pieces here, you're going to bend them so that this little piece can actually sit on top of them. So just bend those inwards. Just make sure when you bend it that you pull them back into position so that they stay straight. And then do the same on the other side, but in the reverse. So now it's going to sit on there like that. I've just poked a little toothpick through my little sled, and now I'm just going to paint it all black. And then I'll paint it gold. The black paint is dry, and now I'm just going to paint it with some gold paint. While the gold paint is still wet, we've got an assortment of different coloured glitters. So I'm going to try and get a glitter that's closest to the copper. So I'm going to go with this coloured glitter. I'm just going to dip it into some gold glitter. So, like that. And then just do the other side as well if you want to, because it's only going to be this side that you're actually going to be noticing. But I'm going to do the back and the front. Now that everything is dry, we can glue it all together. I'm just using hot glue to glue this all together. And there's our little sled. I've got this really fine gold thread which I'm going to be using to make the little Santa sack. So I'm just taking the thread and taking about 20 centimeters, and I'm just going to roll it so that it can twist. So just rolling and then holding it in the middle and then catching both sides, and then just letting go, and it'll twist into a nice rope looking piece of cord. And then just trim that off, tie a knot at the end so it doesn't come undone. To make the sack, I'm just using the velvet ribbon that came off the balls. So for the little bag, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold it over a little bit like that and put a blob of hot glue in there just to fill it up so that it looks like a little bag. So with the little gold thread that we made, I'm just going to tie the two pieces together. And now I'm just going to trim it down. When you cut down the velvet ribbon, just take a lighter and just singe the ends, just so that it doesn't run. And then just trim your ribbons off as well, all the cord. So our little bag, it looks like that. And now we're just going to take some hot glue and glue it into the sled. And now we can assemble the whole thing. Unfortunately, the little nose of the toothpick kept falling off, so I've just painted it orange, and I'm not putting arms on this one. So for this one, I've glued two of the Christmas trees at the back, and I'm going to be gluing the little snowman just over here. And I'm taking one of the little polystyrene trees and going to glue it just over there. And then I'm going to glue the sled just there. And the same with all the other ones. I'm going to be putting the PVA glue all the way around it and sprinkling the polystyrene and the white glitter all over that. So I've got it all glued in, and I put the polystyrene all the way around the sides, and I sprinkled it with the glitter as well. And now all we have to do is put it together. And there's one more of our balls done. I would suggest before you hang your balls up to put a piece of sellotape, sticky tape, some clear tape around the top, because these little caps do have a tendency of just falling off. If you found this video helpful or you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Really appreciate it if you would subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.